squatting? We talked about this with overview changes in murmur. With squatting, rapid, you're going to increase venous return. Most murmurs will increase. What's the big exception that you are going to predict for me? Hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy. More amount of blood in your heart. Remember, HOCM comes under the category, comes under the division of the category of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. And the most common hypertrophic cardiomyopathy will be the obstructive type with what kind of hypertrophy of the interventricular septum? Asymmetrical. Asymmetrical. Good. Valsalva. What happens? Have you seen this face over and over again? You have your closed epiglottis for which you are breathing out or expiring. As you do so, you increase your thoracic pressure. You're going to squeeze the pulmonary capillaries, and you go into phase 2. With phase 2, you decrease the amount of blood returning to the left side, and so therefore, the intensity of the most of the murmurs is going to decrease, or are going to decrease. Now, something that I wish to bring to your attention, yet once again, with Valsalva, tell me about MVP, mitral valve prolapse. 4 components. What are they? S1, S2, 2 down, 2 to go. Click and murmur. That's your pathology. When you do Valsalva, you have decreased amount of blood to the heart. What happens to that click? That click gets closer to S1. It is not a delayed click. It is a shortened click, isn't it? Or an early click. What then happens to the murmur? It is now lengthened, right? What happens to the intensity of the murmur? It increases. That's Valsalva. When you do exercise or rapid squatting, and I showed you pictures before, in which you would then have increased amounts of blood, the click would then get closer to S2, or it is delayed, and the murmur shortened. If you've understood, or if you've missed that concept, go back and review. If you've gotten it down, let's move on. Let's not waste time. Let's be efficient. 2 exceptions are exactly here. 2 exceptions are systolic murmur, right? Here, in which with Valsalva, with hypertrophic obstructive, it is going to get worse. Mitral valve prolapse, it is going to become longer. What is the murmur? What about the click? It gets early. Exactly what we just went through. Let's continue. Isometric hand grip. What's happening here? It's the fact that when you do a hand grip, you're increasing your TPR. When you increase your TPR, then, now here, we haven't talked about this. Well, this is the first time we're seeing this. We talked about hand grip, but not in reference to the following murmurs, huh? So, murmurs of mitral regurg. So, first and foremost, you're clenching a fist, you constrict your arterioles, increase TPR, increase afterload. There's more blood where? Left in your left ventricle because of increased afterload, increased resistance. I think we can all agree upon that. But say that you have mitral regurg. You tell me quickly, mitral regurg, difficulty with closing. When should the mitral valve close? During systole. It causes systolic murmur. Between S1 and S2, what kind of murmur? Holosystolic. You should be able to go through that quickly. And you will. These are steps that you have to take in medicine every single time. The more organized your thoughts are, the faster that you can run through them, and therefore when an attending or an exam asks you a question, you arrive at the answer in a very efficient and quick manner. And it's never going to leave you. Never. Ventricular defect, aortic regurgitation. With all of these, with a hand grip, you're going to increase the intensity of the murmur because of the backup. You can't move forward. Increased afterload, increased resistance. Hand grip. Versus hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, aortic stenosis. Pay attention. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, asymmetrical, hypertrophy, outflow tract is very, very compromised. Thus, by hand grip, you increase afterload, the separation of the outflow tract becomes increased, thus the intensity of the murmur is going to decrease. Tell me about aortic stenosis. Normal gradient is high between left ventricle and the aorta. To ensure unidirectional flow, correct? When you do a hand grip, what happens? Less blood passing across a stenotic aortic valve. What happens to the murmur? Decrease in intensity. Tell me about MVP. You have more blood left in your heart. What happens to that click? It gets closer to S2. It's delayed. What happens to the murmur? Decrease in intensity. There you have it. That line right there for hand grip. Probably one of the most important ones for maneuvers because students tend to get that wrong over and over and over. You understand the pathophys? There is no way that they are going to shake you. You are invincible, my friend. Increased afterload delays left ventricle emptying in HCM. In aortic stenosis, turbulent flow reduced as well as due to reduced pressure gradient.